Watch Dogs series has been Ubisoft's attempt to bring their open-world adventure building to a more futuristic setting. It borrows elements of their other IPs and sends players out into the world to take on missions. Watch Dogs Legion incorporates a mechanic where you could recruit anyone you wanted from the street and use them to infiltrate secured areas or utilize a special skill. The newest expansion, Bloodline, removes that element to provide an adventure led by a single protagonist. However, not just any protagonist will lead this adventure. Players will control Aiden Pierce in a prequel adventure through the streets of London. While a lot of this game is just more of the same, it did make me miss the benefits of having a true main protagonist heading the narrative. Watch Dogs Legion Bloodlines finds Aiden Pierce taking on a job in London to retrieve some tech. However, he's only come out of retirement because he knows his nephew Jackson is in the area, and he'd like to fix their relationship. Aiden is your typical broken protagonist with a history of demons that haunt him. He has blood on his hands, and the story uses it to hinder his attempts to reach out to his nephew. If that wasn't bad enough, the item he was trying to steal was stolen from him by Wrench from Watch Dogs 2, who was also in London to stop Thomas Rampart. Rampart threatens the safety of Jackson if Aiden doesn't help him, and the adventure begins. The DLC has a fairly decent amount of content for those wanting to unlock everything. For Aiden to receive new skills, he'll need to complete missions for people around town. They're optional after the first few missions, but they unlock new weapons and gadgets that make other missions easier. Aiden has this brooding atmosphere around him. He doesn't hide that he is only in it for the money, and only really goes out of his way when it benefits him. I don't know if there's growth in that aspect, but he is given opportunities to go the extra mile. The side missions themselves also feature a decent character arc for those involved, but they don't play a role in the main missions, which was disappointing. There are a few surprises within the DLC's storyline, but I must say, I enjoyed the straightforward linear approach. The missions varied enough to not become overly complicated or repetitive and still retained some of that do it however you please attitude. That said, many of the areas you'll find yourself in you've probably been before. Aiden can be played as a stealth character, but I feel that running and guns blazing work just as well. He has a few skills for close quarters combat, and the ability to completely shut down all electronics around him makes his encounters more action focused. There's a moment of resolve between Aiden and Jackson, but Jackson seems to take a pacifist approach, which doesn't really fit in the scope of this story. Aiden seems to only understand the ghosts of his past, and rather than change, he just opens up a bit more about them. I honestly would have appreciated a line about going to therapy after seeing firsthand what Aiden is going through mentally. However, I ended up liking this part of the story, as it took the form of a horror adventure. The problems with Bloodline lean into the issue of Watch Dogs Legion. Still present are the same random glitches and insanely dumbed down AI. I suggest if you're looking for a challenge, increase that difficulty because these enemies pretty much walk into your bullets. Some missions are almost too easy because of this and make stealth gadgets almost unneeded because it's just easier to trip an alarm and fight your way through. Perhaps some missions would have been better that require you to not get spotted or something like that, but it's not totally needed. The DLC campaign itself is almost 6 to 8 hours of extra content, and the few twists and cameos provided enough for longtime fans to be excited about it. Watch Dogs Legion Bloodline is a great story expansion that highlights how much better this series is with the true protagonist leading the charge. Unfortunately, it suffers from the same hindering hiccups of the base game and lacks true character growth, but there's something here for fans of the series. I was surprised by just how much content is present, making this reunion with Aiden a welcomed one. Noisy Pixel is giving Watch Dogs Legion Bloodline a 7.5 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Please read the full review at noisypixel.net. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers who work hard to deliver news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.